Okay, things are getting interesting. Hello and welcome into the Knicks-Verse. My name is George, and if this is your first time here, or you've been here before but have not subscribed yet, please do so, along with hitting the thumbs up button for me and dropping your comments. Definitely want to hear your thoughts and feelings about everything Knicks, especially in the off-season when there's so much conjecture, so much rumors that clash against each other. It's hard to know what is real, what is not. I'm going to go over a few things for you guys, give you my thoughts and feelings on how I feel about the situation right now. Basically, I'm going to talk about the coach search, the kind of rumors that have come out recently that maybe it was Dolan that fired Thibs, and going to touch upon an article that came out in The Athletic that actually Tommy Beer tweeted about, and I looked into it. I read about it. I found it very interesting. It was about Tom Thibodeau himself and the type of coach that the Knicks should be looking at. So we're going to go into that, and then there's a couple of trade updates towards the end of this. So let's get to it. Here we go. First and foremost, Brian Windhorst was on ESPN, and he said there is mutual intrigue between Jason Kidd and the New York Knicks. This is the latest. He said it today. And then New York Post followed it up, and he said Knicks, Jason Kidd have mutual interest in potential coaching blockbuster. The interest between Jason Kidd and the Knicks is mutual, the Post confirmed. So that's two sources now. And then you got to wonder, why is it taking so long? There was also the rumor that the Knicks were about to ask for permission or had already asked for permission. That was last week. And then it came out over the weekend that, nope, Knicks have not reached out at all to the Mavs themselves to ask for permission to talk to them. And that makes a lot of sense, because it makes no sense to me that Leon, who's an agent, really, and his whole purpose is negotiating favorable terms, why would he tip his hand? Why would he go immediately and ask for a permission to talk to Kidd if he didn't already know that Kidd was interested? So through back channels, I'm sure it's been confirmed. It seems like right here that Kidd is interested in the Knicks, and the Knicks are interested in him. It's mutual. Not that sexy a term, mutual, but we'll roll with this for now. And to add on to here, Kidd remains under contract with the Mavericks, but the Hall of Famer is intrigued by the Knicks gig, a source said, confirming a report Monday from ESPN's Brian Windhorst. So, interesting. But why is it taking so long? And then Brandon Scoop B tweeted this out from a trusted source. Not sure we should depend on it, but it's interesting to hear these things. Jason Kidd wants that job. Beautiful. When a team doesn't shut down an interview request, it usually means the coach wants out. The Rockets shut it down with Ime Udoka immediately. The Mavericks haven't said a word about Kidd and the Knicks. Interesting. I respect that opinion. It's true. The Mavericks haven't come out and said, no chance in hell can the Knicks take our head coach away from us. So it means that they are willing to listen, willing to discuss terms. And remember something, the sphere that is on the Knicks jersey, that sphere that is in Vegas, that Dolan owns, is on Miriam Adelson's property in Vegas. So they already have a working relationship between those two. So it's not something that necessarily has to happen through the front office. It could just happen, the owners themselves could have a discussion, or even just a single text. So bear in mind all of this. Let's keep going. And then one thing I want to talk about here, though, is before we get to this, I want to talk about the possibility that maybe Leon is kicking the tires on lots of other coaches because he knows he can get Jason Kidd. Okay? I already had put out a video talking about the same thing with Johnny Bryant. He knows he can get Johnny Bryant if he really wants Johnny Bryant. Not if he really wants. Let's rephrase it. If Johnny Bryant ends up being the best candidate after an exhaustive search. So that's two coaches right now that are actually employed as coaches. One is a head coach, was an assistant for the Cleveland Cavaliers, who Leon probably has a good read on whether he can have them or not. Just comes down to money, and Dolan's got lots of it. However, if Leon has expanded the coaching search, which has been reported, and we know that Danny Hurley has denied, well, he's on record by saying, oh, this came out the wrong way. Here, this is it. Here it is. Dan Hurley shut down any rumors surrounding the New York Knicks job opening from Amore Current, which he's the sports writer for the Current, the Connecticut paper. However, I haven't heard anything official. He's not on camera saying anything official. New York Post hasn't said anything official. I mean, it's just been said that he turned it down without even being offered the job. Odd. That sounds odd to me. Then when you look at this, here. I messed the order up on here. I apologize about that. So Rob Reinhart, who's a sports guy, again, not sure who he really is, but he tweeted this out. Dan Hurley is very much in the mix for the Knicks job, despite vaguely telling reporters that he was not, per sources. So he vaguely told sources that he was not interested in it. I'm told that he hastily dodged the question at a banquet yesterday, but has been actively communicating with the Knicks since then. Interesting. Even I screwed up the order here. Let's get back to this one now. Now, Craig Carton was on, I forgot what show it was, he was on, and he talked about this. And you guys should definitely look that up. It's on YouTube, the interview and whatnot. And Craig Carton says the time is now for Dan Hurley to become the Knicks' next head coach. If you are ever going to make the transition from being a successful college coach to the NBA, it's the Knicks, and it's now. Now, this guy is friends with James Dolan. This guy, Craig Carton, is friends with James Dolan. In our interview, he spoke about that a lot. So, Dan Hurley may actually be the real target here. And remember, every single rumor we have heard throughout the years of the Leon Rose era have all been wrong. All of them. Maybe there's like a little bit, like you hear like, okay, Donovan Mitchell, Spida, and the drum starts beating a little bit, then it dies down. But we never know. We never hear anything directly from the Knicks themselves. And then they did actually try to make an offer for him. That's one of the few rumors that actually ever really panned out. Cat, did anyone know about Cat? No. Mikal Bridges? No. So bear in mind, that KIDD interview thing might be genuine, but it could also be a slight decoy, and Dan Hurley might be the guy. And I'm going to give you something. Here's my thoughts on Dan Hurley possibly being the head coach of the Knicks. I fucking love it. I love it for one, he's young, he's energetic, and he holds players accountable. Yes, he's a little crazy on the sidelines, but that's in college. He may be a little intense with younger players because they need that kind of tough love. He is a professional. He understands the NBA game as well, and he might be, according to this guy Craig Carton and some other people are saying, he has the most brilliant basketball mind available right now. So we're talking about, what do you mean, like Spoelstra level? What do you mean, like Ty Lue level? Okay. So would I rather have a coach who's a genius, especially offensively, who has won twice with UConn already, the NCAA championship, and who is from the area, New York, who is passionate about the Knicks themselves? I think this could be a fantastic hiring right here. I'm telling you, I like this. Keep an eye on Dan Hurley being an actual genuine candidate in the next few days. Let's see what happens. Unless, you never know. Tomorrow they might announce they made a deal for Jason Kidd. You never know. But I have a feeling they're in the other back channels, they're discussing Dan Hurley seriously. There's just too much smoke around. And that initial, I'm not interested in the job, someone already said it was a vague attempt What did he say? Call it, here. Where'd it go? It was, oh, Jesus. I hate when I screw up the order here. Despite vaguely telling reporters that he was not. So, keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on that. Now, the next thing to think about is, okay, so if that's true, if this is possible, let's put it that way, if this is possible, does he have the right attributes? Does Jason Kidd have the right attributes for this Knicks coaching job? People talk about, oh, it's so intense. It's like an intense job. Look, Thibs came in, did a great job to raise the floor, get us into contention, to create a winning culture, but he was limited. There was an interesting article that came out in The Athletic discussing this very topic. Let's get to it. Tommy Beer tweeted this out. It says, interesting take on the Knicks culture under Thibs, published in The Athletic. Did I say Atlantic? Sorry, Athletic, by Spencer Harrison, a professor of organizational behavior at INSEAD. Harrison notes how a leader's stubborn inflexibility can be detrimental to the organization's ultimate goal. Now, before I move on from this, I'm going to talk about the whole Dolan rumors. Let me tell you something. There is absolutely no way, shape, or form that it wasn't Leon's decision. Dolan may have been in the room because he needed to hear. This Thibs on the hot seat has been happening for about 2 years. 2 years. He saved himself 2 years ago in December 2022 when he tightened up the rotation and the Knicks went on a run. But back then, I mean, we were all shouting, time to fire Thibs, time to fire Thibs. What's going on? What's going on? So he made a change, but it was under intense pressure. And Worldwide Wes, the number 2 guy under Leon Rose, has been trying to get Thibs fired for quite a while. And he has the ear of James Dolan. So it's not like Dolan's like, oh, I want to fire him. Oh, meddling. No. He's been hearing from his trusted people that this might be the end of the road for Thibs. And he was here 5 years. People, after a while, they just don't hear. They don't listen to the same voice for so long. Yes, there were there's two new players that came in or whatnot. But I think Dolan was in the room during those key player exit interviews, probably at the request of Wes himself, so that he could hear it for himself, so that he could have, and maybe Leon was on the fence. Maybe Leon was on the fence at the time, but he's been on the hot seat. The rumors of him being fired, if the Knicks had lost to the Pistons, he would have been fired instantaneously. It would have happened no matter what. I mean, he got fired anyway. So, and then the Boston situation, it actually backfired for Thibs himself, because it took 2 20-point comebacks for them to win those first 2 games, which was miraculous. But it also showed that the Knicks were better than they were showing they were during that regular season as well. Remember how they got spanked by the Celtics, by OKC, by the Cavs? I think we were in 0 for 7, right? 0 for 7 or something against those teams. So this is an interesting development here, and I don't believe in any way, shape, or form it was Dolan. Now remember, Dolan needs to be in the room because Dolan has to approve the $30 million, send-off for Thibs, who signed the contract last year. That's a lot of money. So Dolan had to hear it all. And there is no way, shape, or form that it wasn't Leon who made the final decision. That's just I find it, and I find it really kind of whiny that people have been talking about this Dolan thing so much. Who cares anyway? What if it was Dolan? He didn't deserve to stay the coach of the Knicks. He didn't deserve to stay. Look at this. This is right here the data for the Eastern Conference Finals right here. Here are the lineups that Thibs played. Remember, he never changed his starting lineup the entire season unless someone was hurt. And that's the top lineup right there. Towns, Anunoby, Hart, Bridges, and Brunson. -10. All the way on the right. You can see the total plus minus in the yellow column. A -10. That lineup played 69 minutes together in the Eastern Conference Finals over 6 games, and they were a -10. They were a loser lineup. The next lineup down is the next starting lineup when he put Robinson in place of Josh Hart, and that lineup for 4 games played 58 minutes, accounted for 137 points, shot 49% from the field, only 33% from the three-point line, so that definitely, but all improvements over the starting lineup above, which was 28% from 3, 48% from the field. Look at the offensive rating. It went from a 113.6, the lineup that played all year, to a 118.1. And the defensive rating was a horrific 126.1 against the Indiana Pacers. Look at this, a 115.3 for a plus 2.8 in net rating. In total points, it only accounted to 1 single point more in the plus minus. But again, it's still a swing in the right direction. And then look at the next lineup that he played the most, so 23 minutes. Hart, Bridges, Brunson, Mitch, and Deuce. That lineup, interesting lineup. 23 minutes, it played 44 points. Couldn't make any three-pointers because you have Josh Hart out there and you got Mitch out there. So you only have Brunson and McBride and Bridges as your three-point threats. The floor spacing is going to suck in that lineup. Horrific lineup. It was a minus 30.8, and yet he played it the third most in that series against the Indiana Pacers. I mean, that reeks of inflexibility. That reeks of lack of creativity. A minus 12 right there. Then you look at the next lineup below that. OG, Josh Hart, Bridges, Brunson, and Robinson. So that's basically the starters, but you swap out Robinson for Towns. That lineup was terrible, because you can't have Hart and Mitch on the court together without having, someone who can create their own shot. Right there. For 6 games, 20 minutes they played total. Luckily, didn't play that much. Only shot 26.7% from the three-point line. It was a minus 36.7. 36.7. So 3 of the top 4 lineups that Thibs played in that series against the Pacers were all minus double digits, 30 points, negative net rating. This is incredible. It was a minus 21 in total points in 20 minutes of play, and yet he kept going to that lineup. Okay, maybe sometimes it was because of foul trouble and situations like that. All right, you give him a little bit of leeway. But then, once he started turning to expanding the rotation, which happened in Game 3, which the Knicks won, Wright, Towns, Anunoby, Hart, and Shamet. So now you only have one non-floor spacer, and that's Josh Hart on here. They played 20 minutes, same as the lineup above there. Counted for 46 points. They shot 48% from the field, 33% from the three-point line. Nothing exciting, but look at the defensive rating. 84.6. They were a plus 30.4 in net rating. Almost the reverse of the lineup of Hart, Bridges, Brunson, Robinson, and McBride. And by the way, Deuce is incredible on the court for the Knicks. Deuce with Cat and Mitch. Those 3 are fantastic. You can go look at the plus minus, go to cleaning the glass. You can see it. You put those 3 together. Incredible combination, those 3. Which we don't really see on here at all. The bottom one. That's the bottom one. All right, before we get to that, so this guy, they are plus 13 in their 20 minutes of play. Plus 13. The next lineup below, they only played 2 games. Anunoby, Bridges, Brunson, Mitch, and Deuce. Here we go. Plus, this is a plus lineup. 12 minutes, 56% from the field they shot. Now, it's a small sample size. 44% from the three-point line. Fabulous. 147.8 offensive rating and 100 defensive rating, which is fantastic. That's a plus 47.8. They accounted for 11 points over any other lineup that they were playing against the Pacers. Then you keep going. Let's just drop down to the bottom one here. The Towns, Anunoby, Hart, Robinson, and McBride. This is an interesting one. It only played 1 game. It was only for 5 minutes, and I think that was the game 3 time. 170 offensive rating, 60 defensive rating, 110 plus net rating, and they accounted for 11 points. The other DeLon Wright, Towns, Hart, Shamet, McBride lineup did very well, a +6. So right here, it just screams that Thibs, by his management of the minutes, basically lost the series for the Knicks. And he's been doing this all year long. All year long. I know we finished 3rd seed, but come on, man. You could have been experimenting the whole time before that. So I don't want to hear this cry, oh, as if Thibs is the only coach who could ever coach the Knicks. Grow up. Grow up, everybody. And I'm talking to the media, the whiners in the media. Grow up. This is a business and it's a sport. And the nature of the sport is to win the ultimate championship, not to just show up and look good, not to just be invited to the Final Four party. No, you want to win. You want to be the last one standing with the trophy, and Thibs capped the ceiling on this team. And there is the evidence right there. All right, let's keep going. Now we're going to get to the psychology behind it all. So this guy, Spencer Harrison, in the article says, I research organizations and culture. Here's the lesson the Knicks should heed. All right. He's a professor for organizational behavior at INSEAD and an expert on culture. He's also an NBA fan. Okay. And he says here, so the quote here starts off, sometimes it's not fun on the body. Mikal Bridges' quote. So he was talking about when Mikal did the interview, and he basically said that Thibs should play the bench more. Okay. What he found, what he said, I'm just going to read it to you guys. What interested me is what happened next. Bridges said that he and Thibodeau had spoken about his workload, but Thibodeau told reporters the two never had a conversation about it. As someone who studies the cultures of businesses and organizations, I found Thibodeau's response telling. To me, it suggested a stubbornness, an unwillingness to consider other options, as if the conversation wasn't even worth having. And it reminded me of leadership and organizational issues we see in the business world. Wow. Stubbornness and unwillingness to consider other options. Why is that so important? Well, we're going to keep going. We know that Thibodeau is really passionate about basketball and a really good defensive coach who has won doing things his way. But the question with him has always been, can he be more flexible within his system? Can he use people with different skill sets in different ways? It's all about the toolbox, the toolkit. You know, you're going to have specialists. You're going to have some guys that are defensive specialists. You're going to have multi-level scorers. You're going to have guys who are set up an offense, like Tyler Kolek, who, you know, you're going to have many different guys who have different specialties. And then you have guys that are more generalists. Those guys that can do multiple things. How you manage them is incredibly important. But do you have a leader, a coach who can use the whole toolkit? Using the whole toolkit, and before I get to this, there was an example of looking at how creative teams work, like Pixar and Disney animators and all these things. They come up with the most incredible movies and stories and everything. And a lot of it was because they have a lot people with a lot of different specialties. And then there's generalists, and it's the people who manage it that get the most out of the team itself, the creative team. So here, using the whole toolkit is a very common problem in business. People sometimes engage in what we call mythological learning. The idea is simple. I've become successful, and as I begin to get promoted, I assume that my success is based on all the choices that I have made, rather than realizing that some of the choices I made might have led me to success in part by luck. As a result, some of the lessons that you've intuited from your success might be the wrong lessons, which reeks of stubbornness, right? And here you finally sums it up. You want to make dead sure that the next person you hire is not a system leader, but a learning leader. It's a coach who should say, I want to learn from the players on what made this team successful. And then I'm going to focus on expanding and maximizing the toolkit, as told to Jason Jenks. I mean, in no way, shape, or form does Thibs meet the criteria of a learning leader. He talks the talk of it, but at the end of the day, he doesn't. He never played 5 out. He refused to start Emmanuel quickly when it was obvious he should have been the starter. He stayed with Elfrid Payton way too long instead of switching to Derrick Rose. It's just a long history. And the fact that he's never truly been able to get to the finals himself as a head coach after having like incredible all-stars on every single team he's coached, all NBA players, couldn't get to the promised land. Letting Tom Thibodeau go was the smartest thing the Knicks could have done to start this offseason. There you go. Now, talk a little bit about Kevin Durant. Trade dialogue has officially begun, according to Evan Siddery, among interested teams with the Suns on Kevin Durant. Phoenix is working directly with Durant and his business partner Rich Kleinman, who, by the way, is a huge New York Knicks fan, to find a new destination. But the Knicks, Spurs, and Timberwolves are teams to monitor with serious interest. The reason I said but, no Knicks mentioned there. So I think that's probably not going to happen. We shall see, but the Knicks are being aggressive again. Leon keeps things close to the vest, so we would never know for sure if the Knicks were really interested in Durant and how they could even pull it out, pull off a trade like that. I spent time on a trade machine. It's tough. It's really tough to figure out. You need a third partner for sure, at least, or even a fourth one, unless it was Cat going to Phoenix. But we've also heard that the Knicks they want to add a star to the duo, that their all-NBA duo that they have of Cat and Brunson. So you're not going to trade one of those to bring another guy in. So this is just probably not going to happen. And there's also been discussion about Giannis, that Milwaukee's the rumors are that it looks like Giannis has cooled off on potentially asking the Milwaukee Bucks to trade him, though I'm dubious about that. What could they actually offer him in terms of a chance to win a championship with the current team the way it is? And the fact that Dame Lillard is probably gone all next year and they can't even trade him. So I don't know. I find all of it really sus. We shall see what happens. But there is one name that did pop up, I think today or yesterday. Jrue Holiday. The Boston Celtics are reportedly seeking a first-round pick for Jrue Holiday per HP Basketball, who I don't know where they are. Hall of Famer Mark Stein reported this weekend that Boston is in fact listening to trade offers for Holiday, something most people assumed. While the focus has been on reducing payroll, sources have told the Proxyism that Boston is setting the price at a first-round pick along with whatever reduced salary comes back in the deal. All right, man. Look, if this is real, Leon's got to try and get Jrue Holiday here. What better person to put next to Jalen Brunson on the court than Jrue Holiday? An all-defensive player, he's been like 6th on Defensive Player of the Year. He can guard centers. He can guard anybody. And he's a brilliant basketball mind. He can shoot the three. Last year was a down year for him in terms of his shooting efficiencies. But when you look at other years, here we go. These are his stats, his career stats. Last season, he only shot 44.3% from the field and only shot 35.3% from the three-point line. But I'll take that over Josh Hart any day of the week. So whatever Josh Hart is giving you, Jrue Holiday can give it to you tenfold because of his. First of all, he doesn't make the silly mistakes. The silly mistakes that Josh Hart makes. And also, that was just a down year for shooting. Look at the year before that when the Celtics won the championship. He shot almost 43% from the three-point line. He shot 48% overall. He averaged 12.5 points that year. He was 6th on the Defensive Player of the Year list, and he was second-team All-Defense. And the year before that, he was first-team All-Defense. He was an All-Star, Defensive Player of the Year, got votes for that as well. He's just been on an amazing run for the in terms of defensively the past few years. He shot 41% from Milwaukee in 2021-22. He shot 38.4% for them the next season. So last year was a tick down, but he did shoot 35.3% when he was with the Pelicans. Again, a team that struggles with spacing. So once you remove Hart from the lineup, and of course you're going to add some other element in that lineup, another star of some kind. It may be it's going to be Bridges that goes out for that star. It might be OG. I'd rather not be OG. We'll see. But Drew Holiday could really help pump up the defense on that starting unit, and he'd be a great backcourt partner for Jalen Brunson. I think this is a guy the Knicks should definitely look at. All right. Thank you so much for watching this. Giving you guys updates. If I hear anything more, I will jump on. Possibly even tomorrow. There might even be some kind of new news. We shall see. Hopefully, keep it going. What I love about all of this is that it seems like the Knicks front office believe that this team has championship potential. And they're going to do everything possible to maximize that championship potential. It could be multiple things: hiring the right coach, bringing in the right player, having more defensive-minded players that can still give you production offensively. All of those things could really help get the Knicks to be playing in June, my birthday month. That would be fabulous. A year from now, it's the Knicks versus OKC. Woo! All right, we'll see. All right. Thank you so much for watching this. Again, my name is George. Here, follow me on social media and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so you're alerted when I do a new video or to go live. I will be going live sometime this week. And definitely drop your comments. I want to hear your thoughts and feelings about everything Knicks. Everything Knicks. And I will see you around the Knicks-Verse. Let's go!